All right, welcome into another day of our daily Devos in the Psalms. Pastor Rick here, and we are jumping in to Psalm 50, the 1/3 way marker point. You got 150 Psalms in the book of Psalms, and we are on number 50. Let's go. All right, and so we're going to jump in and just see what God has to say to us today out of this chapter. And hopefully, you're taking some time on your own to kind of just process, journal, meditate, think through what God's speaking to your heart. And then hopefully, then kind of sharing that with other people. If you don't mind, if you could click like on the video, it helps more people to see the video. And also, if you want to subscribe, you can do that, and then check the little notifications bell so it'll tell you when a new video pops up. Makes it easier to keep track and keep on keeping on. And so that'd be super awesome. Also, if you're enjoying the videos, why don't you just grab a link and text it to a couple of friends, encourage them to jump in. I like doing things that encourage people to get into the Word of God more and more and more. So yeah, glad you're here. Let's rock and roll. Psalm 50, verse 1. The mighty one, God the Lord, speaks. He summons the earth from the rising of the sun to its setting. From Zion, the perfection of beauty, God appears in radiance. Our God is coming, he will not be silent. Devouring fire precedes him, and a storm rages around him. On high, he summons heaven and earth in order to judge his people. So, the title of this one, God as Judge. So we've been talking about a lot of different parts of who God is, and today it is the fact that he judges. He judges stuff. And he's the mighty one, God the Lord. So therefore he has the responsibility to judge, but he also has the authority. He's kind of the boss, y'all, and so he gets to judge things according to his standards because he's the creator, he's the master of it all, and God's not mocked, right? We want to make sure that we keep this in mind. It helps with just the fear of the Lord, which is the beginning of wisdom. The fear of the Lord is one of the things that keeps us out of trouble, keeps us out of harm's way, because then we honor him and we obey him more and more and more. And so verse 5, gather my faithful ones to me, those who made a covenant with me by sacrifice. The heavens proclaim his righteousness, for God is the judge. Come on now. Gather my faithful ones to me, those who made a covenant with me by sacrifice. Listen, my people, and I will speak. I will testify against you, Israel. I am God, your God. Ugh, just the idea of God testifying against me, makes me want to cry out for some mercy, and also make sure that I'm living right, following his commands. Because I don't really want to find myself on the angry side of God, because as much as God is love, unconditional love, and full of grace and mercy and steadfast love that never ceases, he's also a God of great holiness and righteousness, and we need to not test that. We need to not mock that. We need to be a people, because we love him, because we're trying to seek him. We need to be a people that obey, that follow him, because that's the best way for us to reveal our actual love for him, is that we listen and then we do what he says. So come on now. All right. So I do not rebuke you for your sacrifices or for your burnt offerings, which are continually before me. I will not take a bull from your household or male goat from your pens. For every animal of the forest is mine, the cattle on 1,000 hills. I know every bird of the mountains, and the creatures of the field are mine. So God doesn't ask for sacrifices to be offered to him because he needs it. It's like we want to talk about sacrifice. We want to talk about tithes and offerings, and God doesn't ask people for tithes and offerings because he needs the money. He's like, no, you don't understand. I own all of it, the cattle on 1,000 hills. I also own the hills, like the hills belong to me, not just the cattle. And so the picture being painted here is I'm not going to take from you. I'm asking you for these sacrifices. I'm asking you for tithes and offerings. I'm asking you for these things because I know that it does something in your heart that you desperately need. So I don't need your money. That's what God's saying. Like, I don't need your money. I don't need your cattle. I don't need your goats. But when we offer sacrifices, when we give, when we sacrifice things that we feel like belong to us, it reminds us that it doesn't belong to us. It reminds us who our source, our provider is, and it rights our perspective and our heart towards God and towards our circumstances, and really creates an environment where God is able to bring greater blessing into our lives because we would handle it better. Because we're more faithful. When we're faithful in the little things, then we get to be people that are faithful with much. If I were hungry, I would not tell you, for the world and everything in it is mine. Do I eat the flesh of bulls or drink the blood of goats? Offer a thanksgiving sacrifice to God and pay your vows to the Most High. Call on me in a day of trouble. I will rescue you and you will honor me. I like that verse. That's a good one. Offer a thanksgiving sacrifice to God and pay your vows to the Most High. I like how Thanksgiving keeps coming up in these topics because it's just such a critical part of making our heart be pointed towards God in such a way as we're able to hear Him, follow Him, obey Him. But God says to the wicked, "What right do you have to recite my statutes and take my covenant on your lips? You hate instruction." So God says so the wicked would be people that are not following God. They're not like, they might be giving lip service, blah, blah, blah. Like, I follow God, but there's nothing in their life that supports the things that they say they believe. And I think it's a really great question, a really great process to go through to evaluate your own heart and your own life to see, like, is there a big gap between my confession, my words, and my actions and what I do? Because if there's a big gap between those two, we need to check ourselves, right? We need to check it and say, what's going on that there's such a big gap, such an inconsistency in my life that what I say I believe is not producing the behavior that it should be producing, so that we don't become like the wicked. So, but God says to the wicked, "What right do you have to recite my statutes and to take my covenant on your lips? You hate instruction. You fling my words behind you." Ugh. When you see a thief, you make friends with them. When you associate with adulterers. So you make friends with people that are walking in evil. You associate with people that are doing terrible things. You unleash your mouth for evil, harness your tongue for deceit. You sit maligning your brother, slandering your mother's son. Like, man, it's a lot of rough stuff going on here. And so you can see things that are indicators of the life of the wicked. Not paying any attention to the words of God, hating instruction, making friends with people that are doing terrible things and just running with those who do, kind of a thing. And then how you use your mouth. And this really was impacting me this morning as I was reading through it, like how we talk about each other, how we treat our friends, our brothers and sisters in the Lord. Like, that matters. We need to not be evil, deceit, or maligning or slandering. Like, it's Ephesians 4:29. Don't let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, but only that which is edifying and builds one another up. Like, let's focus our attention on building up and encouraging and strengthening one another. You have done these things, and I kept silent. You thought I was just like you. but I will rebuke you and lay out the case before you. So sometimes people take the silence of God as maybe kind of tacit approval, like God's okay with what you're doing. But that's not the case. As we can see from this verse, understand this, you who forget God, or I will tear you apart and there will be no one to rescue you. Whoever offers a thanksgiving sacrifice honors me, and whoever orders his conduct or obeys, basically, I will show him the salvation of God. So coming back to, once again, the sacrifice mentioned is the thanksgiving sacrifice, recognizing where your help comes from, where your hope comes from, and then whoever orders his conduct. So we've got obedience. So obedience and sacrifice hand in hand. And it says, I will show him the salvation of God. So I hope you're encouraged today. I hope you're a little bit challenged today to just kind of take stock of where you're at and who you are associating yourself with, how you are talking about your fellow Christian believer, friends, relatives. And then think through your heart towards God in regards to your possessions, your time, your talent, your treasure, all those things. Where are you willingly giving those things to the Lord? Are you allowing him to be the director of it? Do you give begrudgingly? Do you give, do you recognize that God is the owner of it all? So just lots of things for us to be able to ask ourselves these questions and just process it before the Lord and allow him to shape and mold us and change us into be more like him. So with that, I just say a big hearty God bless you. Have an amazing day today. Thanks for hanging out, and I will talk to you tomorrow.